Hey friends, before I start this episode, I just want to say that for the month of February, I am focusing on screens again. I did this last May with my dear friend Tekla Brumder Ross, and she and I talked so much about our attention and where we put it and how screens can get in the way of it. And I'm back. And that is because I really do think that this is an important issue for all of us. I'm talking for the first couple episodes in February with folks who are working with kids and teens and our youth and their screen use, but I do ultimately think it comes back to, especially for parents, looking at our own use. And even if you're not a parent and you're listening to this, or you're not in the child rearing stage of life anymore, I still think it's important to examine our own relationships with our screens, these ubiquitous devices and slot machines in the palms of our hands, to see how we use them and to see how, if we're being honest with ourselves, they keep us from connecting with other people. The algorithm sucks us in, and all of a sudden, we've lost an hour that could have been spent with another human, instead with a neck ache. So I hope you will stick with me this month. I think this is important, and that's why I'm focusing on it. And as you'll hear about in the first episode this month, there's a February challenge. Off February, around the world, people are taking social media apps off their phone, and they're doing it in community. So make sure you find out more about this Off February challenge, and let's see if we can look up and around so that we can gather, connect, and create more. All right, back to the episode. Hey, welcome back to Gather, Connect, Create. I'm your host, Megan Schultz, and this is the podcast where week after week I am talking about gathering, connecting, and creating in ways that hopefully you can take back to your community wherever you find yourself and try with your people. Sometimes they're small ideas, sometimes new perspectives, and sometimes, like today, interviews with people who are doing something that I find inspiring. Today on the show, I am talking with two local Milwaukee women, two moms who met at the same school because they both care about the same thing, and that is connecting in real life and connecting off screens. These two women are the driving force behind RECONNECT Milwaukee, which is an alliance of parents, teachers, and community members committed to helping kids and teens and ourselves flourish in a world designed for distraction. Through community building, education, and collective action, we are seeking to change the norms around smartphones, social media, and other persuasively designed technology so we can give our children the gift of childhood rooted in real-world play, wonder, and connection. That's from their website. And what I love about this conversation with these women is that they found each other and they are doing this together. So today I'm excited to introduce you to Christina Dinur. And Christina is a mom of two young girls and also a writer and editor. And she serves on the Leadership Council of Smartphone Free Childhood US and is the founder of RECONNECT Milwaukee. I'm also talking with Amanda Metropolus, who is an art therapist, a licensed professional counselor, mom of two, and she helps women and parents move from overwhelmed and anxious to calm and confident and connected. So in her practice, which she founded, Fresh Therapy LLC, she specializes in anxiety and parenting and perimenopausal support. And she offers both talk and creative therapy to help clients find themselves again. So in other words, to reconnect. So how apropos that she is also a part of RECONNECT Milwaukee. And the reason I'm so excited to have them on the podcast is not only to share with those who live locally in Milwaukee how you can get involved and meet other folks who are aligned with your values around screens, but also to show you how two women came together, started a group. It started small and then it grew. And really, isn't that how movements start? And so we get to hear the story of how they formed RECONNECT, how they built it from the ground up, and how it really is a movement that can be spread. So if you find yourself talking with friends about this, don't know what to do or where to spend your energy to get things done or to make change happen, let this be a model for you. I love that this is another story of women who saw a need and filled it. And I hope this is inspiring to you. So let's dive right into this conversation with the women of RECONNECT Milwaukee. Amanda and Christina, welcome. I am so happy that you both could join today. And I want to give us plenty of time to talk about off February, because that's why I wanted to get you on quickly in this month so we could have the whole month to share this concept and this movement with listeners here so that people could join really no matter where they find themselves, whether it's Milwaukee or not. But I also want to talk about RECONNECT Milwaukee and how this got started. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I have been appreciating about this screen-free movement that seems to be building really steadily around, not just the United States, but around the world, is that behind the scenes, making things happen are regular folks like the two of you who are talking and gathering and sharing stories and then moving to action. And, of course, there are big names like Jonathan Haidt and Catherine Price and Jean. How do you pronounce her last name? Is it
Twangy, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So but then there are other just local folks and local organizations building the movement from the ground up. And these organizations are offering another way to gather and connect off screens. And so it feels like that's totally in line with the podcast. And so I want to, and you're doing that here in Milwaukee. The two of you are starting this movement here. We're doing it. Tekla and I are doing it at our school. We're trying to figure out ways to join forces because it's important. So could you guys talk a little bit about RECONNECT Milwaukee, or actually is it RECONNECT Southeast Wisconsin?
Yeah, it's RECONNECT Milwaukee. Long story short. Yes,
okay.
We decided to go with that because I think that's just clearer. So just in a quick recap of how it got started,
Yeah.
It really started with my own use and not being happy with that as a parent. And I had felt that way for a few years of just like, I am spending too much time on my phone. I am spending too much time on social media. I'm having a really hard time getting control over, being more intentional with my digital habits. And at the time, my kids were very young, like infant, toddler, and, isolated at home during a pandemic. It's just seeking connection, and social media is like a frictionless way to kind of scratch that itch. But it just wasn't really, I like to think of it as like fast food versus a healthy meal. Like what I really needed was more real life connection. And it was hard for all of us to find that during those times.
Yeah.
So then the Anxious Generation book came out, I think in 2023, so about 2 years ago. And that was kind of like what catapulted me into action, because I read that book and I was like, I hadn't really even thought very much about the impact on children because my kids were so young at that time. Like I think they were like 2 and 4. So we're not dealing with smartphones and social media or anything like that yet. But reading that book, I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm having this hard of a time as an adult, controlling my, just being in charge of my own attention, how much harder would it be for kids and teens whose brains are still developing and impulse control? So I got really passionate about just like, I don't want this for my kids. I don't want them to have their childhood co-opted by trillion-dollar corporations. But I need to start with myself, because if I'm telling them, oh no, you can't have a phone, but they see me like constantly on my phone, that's not a good look. Right. I kind of got really involved in the Smartphone Free Childhood US movement, and I'm actually on the leadership council with them. And we really see this as a collective action problem. It's not enough just to say, no, you can't have a phone to your own kids, because it's like a secondhand smoke problem. If all the other kids have access to this content, then your kids are exposed as well. And also they'll be isolated if they're the only ones that don't have it. So I connected with Amanda at our school, Milwaukee German Immersion, and we started spreading this Wait Until 8th pledge, which probably most people are familiar with, but it's just a pledge that parents can take promising to not give their kid a smartphone until at least the end of 8th grade, which I think it should be later, but it's a Good starting point.
I know. I have an eighth grader and I'm like, could we make it? Wait till.
You got to start somewhere. It should
Right.
be, I think it should be 18, but people think I'm crazy when I say that. So I don't know. So we had really good traction with that. I mean, people at our school responded really well. We within a few months went from like 2 pledges to, I think we're, I don't know, 70 or 80 or something like that.
Wow.
So clearly that showed me that like there is a hunger for this, other parents are concerned. And so Amanda and I wanted to do an event, and Amanda, I'll let you speak more in a minute, but she has like the mental health expertise. I'm just a mom, not just a mom. I hate using that adjective, but I don't have that professional experience. So we wanted to do an event where she could talk about the mental health impact and use her expertise in that area to just bring parents together and talk about this. And so that's what we're hoping to do with Reconnect Milwaukee is expand it. We want to keep it very local, but like beyond just our school and just a way for families to find each other who share these concerns. So we can build community, we can push back, and we can just really give our children a healthy childhood that is not dictated by the tech companies. And so yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, amen. Amanda, how is yours coming to this story? Similar or different, or where did you land?
Yeah. So I might repeat some of what Christina said, but I think it shows how we've come together and how I started with Reconnect as well. Yes, I'm a mental health professional. I'm an art therapist, and I'm also a licensed professional counselor. And I had previously worked with children and teens. And what I had noticed was working with teenagers, I started to hear them talk about all of the apps that they were on, all of the time that they were spending on. TikTok wasn't around at the time, but I know TikTok's a big one now, but like YouTube and Tumblr and things like that. And so I started to realize that they were getting more connected with kind of certain things that were like increasing the mental health concerns that we were working on. So one example I can think of is eating disorders. I noticed that one of the kids I was working with who I thought would be developing an eating disorder, I had some sense that we were kind of working in that direction. And it started kind of like bringing in like poetry that she would find or like statements that she would find that like other kids wrote, and she would really relate to them. But I could see as a mental health professional that was kind of leading her more into like her negative thought process around eating and around her body. And so it was almost like we were backtracking. I was trying to like rework the stuff that we had already worked on, because then she would go back to these like social media outlets and like start to relate to other people, and it would like just reinforce her negative thinking patterns that were really leading her to like have really negative thoughts about her body and start to like eat really negatively or like not eat at all, right? So I kind of noticed it then. And so as the research started coming out more and more, I think Anxious Generation is one of those books that really got people outside of the mental health worlds really thinking about it and like caring about it, which was really exciting to me because I was like, okay, now other people are knowing what's happening and talking about it. And I think amongst mental health professionals, we had been noticing it, been talking about it, but it was really hard to figure out like, okay, so then what do we do about it, right? Like it's outside of our control, and we're seeing it come into our therapy rooms all the time. And so I think like for me also then becoming a mom and having kids, also like having a younger one during COVID, I didn't really have the experience of like smartphones, but obviously I knew like I don't want my kids to go down that same path of like having these social media outlets that are just reinforcing. When you get to be a teenager, you have a lot of negative thoughts going on anyway, and your brain's developing in a way that you can't really like sort through what it is that you're all taking in. And so I think that just knowing like I don't want my kids to experience that and to make their mental health feel worse because of it made me really want to reach out and be like, okay, who else in my community, who else around me is really like caring about this? And I know that other people are hearing about it more and knowing about it more. And so when Christina had the wait until 8th at our school, I was like, okay, sign me up. I'm on the list, right? Like, do you need any help with this? It was so important that my son also be with other kids because of the, I didn't want him to feel excluded. And sometimes we still deal with that of like, oh, but so and so gets to do this on YouTube and I don't. And I'm like, yep, I know. But
Hmm.
so it's also, it still comes up. But I think the more we pair together as families, I think that the more the kids kind of have aligned views and they start to learn from each other. Like they're going to be the ones that are growing together and learning from each other. They're going to start to listen to us less and less, right? So
Mm.
if they can support each other in it, I think that's really positive. So I liked the idea of joining Reconnect because all of the family connections within the communities and helping the kids have the support that they need with their peers, because that's really who's going to matter in the long run, like when they're teenagers too.
Yeah, yeah. It feels to me, I'm thinking about how if somebody is listening here and they're not in Milwaukee, but they're like, that's a great idea. I would like to start something like that where I live. It feels like having somebody to do this with, like community is a big part of Reconnect to get those people who are I was going to say on your side, but I feel like we all want to raise healthy kids with positive childhoods, and but people who feel the same way as you do about screens and screen time, joining up forces with those people, even just like was your wait till eighth? That's a national movement, right? So were you able just to join and they give you the resources for how to make that happen at your school?
Yes, it's very, anybody can do it. And I would say to your point, the first step is to find one person at your school who you think can be aligned and is a buddy. And so I found one other mom. It just came, I wasn't even trying, like it just came up organically in conversation that we both, shared these concerns. And so I was like, okay, she might be on board. So I emailed her about it and she was like, yes. And so together we actually presented about it to our school PTA. And for me, just having one other person standing up there with me, because it's scary. I'm not someone that does public speaking. I mean, even being on this podcast is a little bit of outside my comfort zone, even though I'm very happy to be here. So I just can't stress enough how helpful it is to have a buddy. It can just be one other person.
Yeah.
And in terms of how to do it, all the resources are on the Wait Until 8th website. If you just go to waituntil8th.org, it makes it very easy. You just like send an email with the link, sign up, and then once you get 10 people, 10 like families in your kid's grade to sign it, then the pledge becomes active, which means basically you get an email from Wait Until 8th that shows all the emails of the other kids' parents who signed it, so you can kind of stay in touch. And because the whole idea is like you want those families to be in your circle so that your kid will have other friends who also don't have a phone, so they're not alone.
Right, right. And you both mentioned that you have younger kids or started this when you have younger kids, which is awesome because you're ahead of the curve, right? But did you get pushback from, I don't know, like seventh and eighth grade parents who are like, meh, it's too late. I already gave my kid a phone. And so almost as if in resignation, like it's too late for me. I can't do anything.
I think it's really hard for parents of older kids. I wouldn't say we've had like direct pushback, but I do notice that there's some families who might have a kid, and my kids are in first grade and K4, so 7 and 4.5. So sometimes kids with an older sibling that already has a phone, and the parent feels like, well, I already gave it to that kid. It's unfair if I do things differently. We've talked to parents who feel uncomfortable, but just feel sort of stuck. And I think we really want to reach those people and find ways of supporting them, whether it's, frankly, you can undo choices. It's hard, but you can always say, I made a mistake. Here's some research that I found. I realized this is not the right decision. And so we're going to take it away. And there's all kinds of support for doing that. Or, whether you want to look into parental controls and find ways of making it safer. I strongly believe that delaying is the best way, but I also feel very like privileged that my kids are as young as they are. And so we already knew about this. I feel so like it's got to be really tough for parents of teens who, everyone just gave their kid a phone because that's what everybody did. And we didn't know, but we know now. And so we can act differently.
Yeah.
And I think I want to touch on that too. I think the one thing that I've heard too is like, oh, well, my kid already has a phone or my kid already has this device. So what do I do now? And I think what I've heard people talking about is feeling lost, that when they do realize like all of the issues that they're having with their kids on phones, like they're not listening to me, right? They're not, um, they're on their phones constantly, right? And so I think I just want to reinforce what Christina said, that yeah, it is okay to say like, hey, actually, I didn't know about this before when we gave you a phone. And so here's how we're going to change some things that's going to be better for you, right? Like, I want to keep you protected. I want to keep you safe. And
Mm.
really having conversations with our kids about like, we're not perfect. We don't know everything. I think as a mental health professional, I feel like I don't know a lot, even though I do, right? But I don't know everything. So I think it's good to realize like, oh, hey, we can change based on the research that's coming out and really adjust our patterns and the way that we're doing things. And
Mm.
especially if you're noticing like it's just really affecting family, I would say just starting with one thing at a time. Like, hey, okay, my kid's always on their screens in the morning, like they're having a really hard time sleeping at night. Like I always suggest, like maybe just taking their screens out of their bedrooms at night, right? Like just starting with one little thing that, hey, at 9 o'clock when it's time to go to bed, we're taking your screens out of your room. You're going to plug them in out here. Like this is our plug-in station. And just starting with little tiny things to make those changes is more
Mm.
helpful than saying like, okay, you're not, I'm taking your cell phone and you can't have it anymore. Right.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, and this episode with the two of you will air before the conversation that I had with Kat Zilka next week, who is running Disconnect, a new nonprofit, which is gathering teens together to talk about this and to really reflect on their screen time and usage. And one of the things that she said in our conversation was that teens are begging for this help. You know, they want, even though nobody would, I don't know that any of them would say, "Excuse me, mom, I need some boundaries here," right? But and yet they are really needing this and wanting this, and they need the help themselves because, like you said at the beginning, Christina, their brains aren't fully formed, right? The executive functioning that
Right.
doesn't fully form until what, 25? So,
I
you
still
know,
wonder if it's forming all the way sometimes about myself, but no, it's so true. It's like I said, if we are having a hard time, imagine how much harder it is for kids and teens whose brains aren't developed fully.
yeah, yeah. And to begin this conversation now and younger, when it can be a conversation and less of a give me your phone, or before it becomes that thing that divides parents and kids, when we can come at this as a team, which I feel like is part of the mission, and reconnect, right? Let's reconnect with each other and our own relationship to it. So, well, I also want to talk because one of the things, and the reason I wanted to get you on at the beginning of February, is because you are helping to promote, or you're bringing in our Milwaukee version of Off February. So can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, so Off February is part of a movement called the Off Movement, which is a global movement. I think they're based in Spain. And the Off February challenge is to delete social media apps from your phone for 28 days in February. So you don't have to like delete your account and never use it again. You can still access it from a computer. The idea is just to reduce the mindless use that we all often find ourselves doing when we can just swipe right over to it. How many times do you go to pull out your phone to look at the time, and then 10 minutes later, you're deep in an Instagram story? I
Yeah.
have certainly been guilty of that. So I wanted to do this, to participate in this, because I really believe that parents, we're sort of the elephant in the room sometimes in this whole discussion about kids and screens, because if we're not practicing what we preach, then that is just not going to end well for anybody. And it's really hard because we are not immune to this brain hacking that the tech companies do to keep us hooked on their platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So this is certainly not about like shaming anybody. It's about a way of accessing community, and it's really a celebration of life behind the screen. It's not that I like how the Off movement frames this as a celebration, not a punishment. So it's really hard. I know for me, when I have tried to like leave social media in the past, like years ago, I would always come back. And so having this challenge that you do in community with other people, I think is really powerful because it makes it more fun, you have accountability, you have solidarity. So we wanted to do this as a way to kind of bring parents together and continue meeting more people in the community who share these concerns and these values. But we wanted to make it like a fun thing, not just, oh, take away your phone and go stare at the wall for 28 days. So that's why we are trying to get some local establishments involved. And we have a number of them so far that have agreed to promote it. And some of them are even offering perks. Just quickly, we have Charles E. Fromage, which is a great winery and cheese. They have like wonderful cheese plates.
I love that name.
Maggio's, Miss Molly's, Nugget Nation, and Yo Mama so far have all agreed to promote it. And some of them are offering perks to customers who complete the challenge. So we have a little pledge card that you can print off, or you can come and grab it at Maggio's or Yo Mama. They will have them there. And if you complete the pledge card, you can bring it back after the end of the month for a perk. And if you go to our website, which is reconnectmke.org, you can find all the details there about how that will work. Because it's really, like I said, it's not about taking something away. It's about giving us something even more, even better, and coming together in person and in community and in our local businesses and places of gathering. So that's what we're hoping to do this month.
And Christina, there's 2 dates that are set up at 2 different places. I know Yo Mama's is one of them on February 7th, but
That's
you
right.
have some dates set up for people to actually come to these establishments and to like meet up with each other at the same time too.
Yes. So we have 2 meetups. The first is February 1st, which has already happened,
Yeah.
I believe. So
by the time this comes out, it will.
Yes. So that will have already happened. That's at Maggio's. And then the second one is at Yo Mama in the Tosa Village, which is on February 7th from 2 to 3. And so it's just a meetup. Anyone who's doing the challenge or who's even interested, or even if you're not doing the challenge because you have whatever reason that you just can't do it this month, you should still come hang out with us and get some frozen yogurt and then come back to Yo Mama. And if you fill out the pledge card, and you can get a 10% discount on your next order.
Nice,
So,
nice.
and then, yeah, we're trying to get other local businesses to promote this too. So if you're listening to this and you're interested and you have a business or an establishment, please reach out. All the details are on our website of how to get in touch, and we would love to add you to our list.
Yeah. Is it just February? This global thing, is it only every February, or do they kind of do an off March and an off?
So this is just off February. It's inspired by Dry January. So the idea is really to just kind of take stock of our habits and set some intentions for the rest of the year. If people do it and they want to go permanent, I think that's great. I will say that I permanently left Instagram and Facebook in recent years, and I never looked back. It's been great. I wish I'd done it sooner, but I know that it's a big leap for a lot, especially if you use it for work, or, people have all kinds of reasons why it's hard. So I think the off movement wanted to make it kind of like a lower bar for entry, where you don't even have to delete your account or not use it. You just don't have it on your phone for those 28 days. And then whatever you want to do from there is your decision.
And I also think some of the gathering together, like it also can create like connections where your kids can meet and like the family members can meet. And so I think that was something when we did our presentation back in December, is learning that families are just really looking for that. They're looking for connection with other families that are kind of aligned in their views and are going to want to like promote this for their children too, and for themselves.
Yeah. I should say my motives are sort of selfish with this. I want to meet other families who share these values. I want those kids to be friends with my kids. So that is a big part of what, why we're doing this too, just to build the community and build the movement locally, so we can all give our kids the best childhood they can have.
Yeah. And I will say, I was at your event back in December, and it was a full room there, and there were parents. I was about to say moms, because I was trying to remember if there were any dads, but I think it was all moms.
I think it was all moms. Yep.
Oh, moms, we do it all. But there were from so many different schools, and that was really cool too, to be able to talk and listen and hear how other schools are doing it, how other families are approaching the screen time thing. I feel like I walked away with some really good ideas that I heard from other women and other families about things to try and things to take back to my family and my community. So it just feels like this is, and maybe it's because this is the headspace I'm in and the place I'm at with my kids and also the newsletters I've signed up for, but I feel like every day I get something from somewhere about this movement and about screens and about how we just need to be more in balance with them because we are not. In fact, one of the women on our committee at school, who I think you both met, Maggie, she sent me something this morning that there's an organization or a new network called the Offline Club that's trying to build gatherings where, as it says, where you're offline, where you just get together and you do things that are not screen based, and you, whether that's crafting or games or whatever. And I just think that is also so needed and so wanted. And I feel like I'm seeing that more and more too, because it's not, like you said, it's not just about a punishment. Just let's just take the screens away. It's like, well, okay, yes. And what can we replace them with to make it worthwhile?
Yeah. And I think too, I just mentioned it to my hairstylist yesterday because she had mentioned the anxious generation and reading it and pairing with a friend so that their kids can be friends and aligning that. And I was like, have you heard about Reconnect? Because I think you'd be really interested. And so just getting the word out there and helping parents realize like there are other parents that also want this for themselves and for their kids too.
Yeah.
Great.
Because it's very easy to feel when your kid comes home and is like, I'm the only one in my class that doesn't have everybody else. It's like, well, actually, you're not. And I know because I'm talking to all the other moms who are, So, well, I love, love, love what you're doing. I hope that you get a bunch of people signed up for this off February. I will say I too gave up socials last summer and just haven't gone back. I thought I would, but I'm not missing it.
Yes, I listened to your podcast that you did a couple weeks ago about that, and I've had such a similar experience where Substack has now become a problem. So I'm like, it's like you're playing whack-a-mole, but one step at a time.
Well, I was thinking about the off February since I already have I already have socials off my phone. Like maybe I would take email off my phone because that for me,
you can do any app that you want. You can kind of make it what you need it to be because we all have our little weaknesses that we can. So
right. Absolutely.
And I would say I have to use socials for work, but I've also found a way to maybe try and connect with other people who also want a little bit more support in like figuring out how to come off of socials and like the like spreading the word, I guess, in a way that kind of goes, it's like, okay, social media is the place that we're trying to get away from. But I've found even with work, what I'd like to do is spread the word about mental health through social media and kind of use that platform to help people understand and like figure out how to connect with other people who are also wanting to come off too. Yeah, people are spending so much time there.
Yeah. More and more, I feel like there's the resources out there if you are ready to come off. And even if you still run a business or, like there's a big movement to, this is how you can do your business off.
Yeah.
Offline.
And the more consumers that come off of it, the less businesses will feel like they have to use it all the time. So I don't know. I'm thinking long term here, but we can all find other ways, healthier ways of getting, just using our time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what is on the docket, if anything, for Reconnect this spring? Is there anything that ideas that maybe people who aren't local could take back to their communities or people who are local could join in?
Yeah. So, we had that event at the library in December, which I thought was really my favorite part of it was that we just broke into these small discussion groups and it was really informal. We were just talking about the problems and what we want to do. And I feel like that's really easy to replicate. I think we want to do more events like that in the spring and the summer, whether it's at a library or somewhere else. In terms of if you don't live in Milwaukee and want to start your own group, I would check out Smartphone Free Childhood US. They have a whole kit on like how to do this. And it's really, there's lots of groups, or there's hundreds of them popping up all over the country. You don't need any credentials. I am just a mom who is doing this. You just need to find some buddies to help you get it started. So that would be my advice.
Yes. Could listeners reach out to you via the website if they wanted
Absolutely.
advice or, okay.
Yes, please reach out to me.
Okay. Well, and I will put all the links for how to get a hold of you guys in the show notes, where you can check out information on how to participate in Off February, maybe how to start your own Off February. And really, let's not just keep it to February, make it an Off March, Off April, Off May. Do
Amen.
what you need to do. But if listeners want to get a hold of you, they can catch you through the website there.
Yes.
I will just mention too, we also did for December, we also created like a resource packet. So if anybody needed information about that, like we had put together like a bunch of resources for people. And Christina, I know you've been sending that out in emails too, and like sharing that news too, of like, here's some resources for you if you are more interested in figuring out how it does impact your mental health, or, like how to get a hold of some of these organizations, or get involved, or even read books or listen to podcasts that might help you with it as well.
Yes. And we have a whole list of resources, and I need to upload your packet to it on our website too, like little short videos and books we recommend. And, wherever you are in this journey, there is something for you there. So,
yeah. I think that's important to say too, that wherever you are in the journey, whether you just have newborns and infants and know where you want to go, or you have teenagers and you've already been there and want to come maybe rein it back. So there is a place for everyone everywhere. And I think it's also important to say that it's, a judgment-free zone.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's just trying to get, good Lord, in these times, we all just have to do what we need to do to get by.
Yes.
So we don't need one more place of,
we are inclusive. We are judgment free. We are about progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. That is the key.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you both for what you are doing. And I hope this inspires little pods of reconnection elsewhere.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
So listeners, it is February 4th. Today, if you are listening to this on the day it drops, or honestly, whenever you listen to this, I think one of my takeaways from this is that it is never too late to start recalibrating, rethinking your connection with your own screen, and reconnecting, whether you are participating in Off February or not. Anytime is a good time to take those apps off your phone. Anytime is a good time to look up and connect in real life with the people around you, and to be that example, especially if you are a parent, to be that person who isn't the do as I say, not as I do, but as somebody who is modeling a healthy relationship with your own screen and your own screen use. So Reconnect Milwaukee was started by two parents who saw a need and who filled it. I love, love, love these examples that you will find throughout the podcast and throughout all of the guests who I have on, who saw a need in their community, didn't see anybody doing anything about it, and so just decided to start it themselves. It really is that easy, and it's so cool to see how people in this city, but also people across the country and across the globe, are just making these movements happen. If you are in Milwaukee, fantastic. Get on their mailing list so that you know when the next Reconnect event or gathering will be. If you can join them, if you're listening in real time and can join them on February 7th for a meetup, do. But regardless, get on their mailing list so that you can find out when their next events are. But if you're not in Milwaukee, and this is an issue that is coming up for you time and time again, or maybe something that you and a circle of friends are talking about consistently, why not just take the next step, plan a screen-free meetup, and see if you can talk about it in community. Take it to your PTA. Take it to your library. Think about making it just a little bit more official so that you can get some publicity and get more people to join in, because as we were saying in this conversation, the more people that join in, the more people that find themselves in community with others that they align with around this issue of screen time and balance and a healthy relationship with our technology, the more we can support each other in that mission. Maybe not a screen-free childhood. Maybe that isn't possible for you or wherever you find yourself in relationship, but a childhood that promotes in real life connections, because that is what we need. I keep saying that week after week, right? That is why I'm doing this podcast, to promote these kinds of relationships that we need in this world. We need more of. So I will put all the links to how to get a hold of the women of Reconnect, to join the movement, to be a part of Off February. But heck, make it off March, off April, off May, whenever you're listening to this. I challenge you to take those apps off your phone. And even if it's just for a day, even if you know you can put it back the next day, try it. See what happens for just a day. Start there. If you like that day, if you get to the end of that day and you think, wow, I was a lot more productive today, or wow, I had a lot more conversation today, keep it off for the next day. Baby steps, people. Let's take baby steps together. And if you do, I would love to hear about it. Drop me an email, shoot me a text, both of which can be found in the show notes, and let me know so I can celebrate with you. All right, as I teased in our conversation, I will be back next week with Kat Zilka, the founder of another local nonprofit, this time called Disconnect. So today we had Reconnect. Next week we've got Disconnect, all around finding the balance with our screens. But Kat in particular works with teens. So this is a really interesting conversation that I hope you will be back to join me for. I'm also joined next week with a familiar voice, Tekla Brumder-Ross, my friend and psychologist in addiction medicine, and who now is the chair of the Digital Harm Reduction Committee at the American Psychological Association. So proud of her for being a part of this movement. So the three of us are in conversation next week, and I hope you will join us. See you next week.